The Pueblo Revolt of 1680 was a major event in the history of the American Southwest. It was the most successful Native American uprising against European colonizers in North America. The revolt was led by Pope, a Tewa religious leader, and took place in the Spanish colony of New Mexico. The Puebloan peoples had suffered for decades under Spanish rule, forced labor, and religious persecution. In the 17th century, the Spanish colony of New Mexico had a strict social hierarchy and a system of exploitation called the encomienda. Under this system, Spanish colonists were allowed to demand tribute and labor from the Puebloan peoples in exchange for protection and the spread of Christianity. The Spanish also actively suppressed native religions, forcing the Puebloans to convert to Catholicism and give up their traditional practices. The encomienda system made life very difficult for the Puebloans. They had to give the Spanish colonists crops, textiles, and other goods, which put a heavy burden on their communities. The Spanish also forced the Puebloans to work on construction projects, mining operations, and agricultural work, disrupting their traditional way of life and leaving little time for them to take care of their own needs. The suppression of native religions was another major issue. The Spanish saw Pueblo spiritual practices as idolatry and tried to get rid of them. Franciscan missionaries who came with the colonists were supposed to convert the Puebloans to Catholicism. They often used forceful methods like destroying sacred objects and sites, banning traditional ceremonies, and making Puebloans move to mission settlements called reducciones. The events that led to the Pueblo Revolt were marked by growing demands for tribute and labor from the Spanish colonists and ongoing religious persecution. In 1675, the Spanish arrested and killed 47 Pueblo religious leaders, including medicine men, for practicing their traditional religions. This cruel act, combined with the continued oppression, sparked the Pueblo Revolt. The arrest and execution of the Pueblo religious leaders shocked the Puebloan communities. These spiritual figures were highly respected for their knowledge, healing abilities, and connection to the sacred. Their deaths were seen as a direct attack on Pueblo culture and identity. Among those arrested was a charismatic medicine man named Pope from Okai Ovinge. Pope survived and became a key figure in the growing resistance movement. His experience strengthened his determination to fight against Spanish oppression and protect Pueblo ways of life. The spark ignited by the execution of the religious leaders was further fueled by ongoing abuses and the constant demands of the Spanish colonists. Puebloan communities reached a breaking point, realizing they could no longer endure the oppression and cultural destruction imposed upon them. As news of the arrests and executions spread, so did the determination to resist. Pope and other Pueblo leaders began to secretly plan and organize, laying the groundwork for a widespread uprising that would shake the foundations of Spanish colonial rule in New Mexico. Pope's leadership was indeed the driving force behind the Pueblo Revolt. As a respected religious leader, he had the influence and charisma needed to rally the Puebloan peoples behind a common cause. His visits to various Pueblo villages were crucial in building a coalition and developing a coordinated strategy for the revolt. Pope's message resonated deeply with the Puebloans, who had long suffered under Spanish exploitation. He spoke of the need to reclaim their ancestral lands, restore their traditional ways of life, and rid themselves of the foreign invaders who sought to destroy their culture. His words inspired hope and ignited a sense of unity among the diverse Pueblo communities. Overcoming centuries-old rivalries and differences was no small feat, but Pope's leadership made it possible. He emphasized the shared struggle against the Spanish and the importance of putting aside past conflicts for the greater good. By focusing on their common enemy and the vision of a future free from oppression, Pope managed to forge an unprecedented alliance among the Puebloan tribes. Pope's organizational skills were also crucial to the success of the revolt. He established a network of messengers to coordinate the timing and tactics of the uprising across vast distances. Through secret meetings and coded communications, Pope ensured that the Puebloans would strike in unison, maximizing their impact and catching the Spanish off guard. The Pueblo Revolt began on August 10, 1680, and was a key moment in the fight against Spanish colonial rule. Even though their plans were discovered early, the Puebloans stayed committed to their cause and changed their strategy. The Puebloans launched surprise attacks on Spanish settlements throughout the colony. Their warriors targeted churches, missions, and the homes of colonists, aiming to destroy symbols of Spanish cruelty and take back their lands. Using their knowledge of the land, the Puebloans fought using guerrilla tactics. They ambushed Spanish soldiers, disrupted supply lines, and isolated the colonists. The Puebloans' surprise attacks and determination caught the Spanish off guard. The most important battle was the Siege of Santa Fe, the capital of the Spanish colony. Puebloan forces surrounded the city, cutting off food and water. The Spanish governor and his troops were trapped in the palace of the governors, becoming more desperate each day. After a difficult 10-day siege, the Spanish governor realized he could not win. Outnumbered and outmatched, he decided to leave Santa Fe and retreat south along the Rio Grande. The Puebloans had won a great victory, driving the Spanish out of their homeland. After the Pueblo Revolt, the Puebloan peoples had a period of freedom and self-rule that lasted for 12 years. During this time, they focused on rebuilding their communities and bringing back their traditional way of life. With the Spanish gone, the Puebloans took back their lands and fixed the damage caused by the colonizers. They rebuilt their villages and sacred places, like the kivas, which became important centers for spiritual and social activities once again. The Puebloans also worked to preserve their culture. They started practicing their traditional religions again, holding ceremonies and dances that the Spanish had banned. They passed down their knowledge, skills, and stories to the next generation, making their society stronger. However, the Spanish didn't want to give up their claim on New Mexico. In 1692, a new governor named Diego de Vargas led a campaign to take back control of the region. The Puebloans were forced to submit to Spanish rule again because of the Spanish military's strength and the threat of more violence. The Spanish learned from the Pueblo Revolt and tried to be more accepting of Pueblo rights and customs to keep things stable and prevent future uprisings. They were somewhat more tolerant of Pueblo religious practices and respected Pueblo land rights a bit more. Today, the Pueblo Revolt is seen as an important moment in the history of Native American rights. It continues to inspire and inform modern struggles for indigenous rights and sovereignty, symbolizing resilience, unity, and the unbreakable spirit of the Puebloan peoples. How can we learn from this event and apply its lessons to contemporary struggles for justice and equality? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the past with the Archeo Trek, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories from the realms of archaeology and history. Your support helps us continue to uncover the hidden narratives that shape our world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep trekking through the fascinating landscape of human history. Thank you for watching the Archeo Trek.